I did I did the rich thing when he muted himself. I'm not gonna mute myself again. How you doing, Kaida? I know. I pulled the rich. I don't usually pull myself. I don't usually mute myself. That was fun. How's everybody's day though? Yeah. Yo, what's going on, Kaida? You okay? Well, the um this is a bagel with cream cheese, but it's not regular cream cheese. This is strawberry cream cheese. It's delicious. And it's not a regular bagel. It's not a regular bagel. It's a whole wheat because I'm trying to eat healthy. Oh, I gotta charge my laptop before it died. What's wrong? You hit a dog? Oh, that sucks. That sucks. How you doing, Chloe? That sucks. Is the dog okay though? Good. How you doing, Minion Roblox? Yeah, what's your side of the story? What kind of dog was it that you hit? I know. It's pain. I gotta pay attention. Oh. Oh. You followed it? Oh. Um. That sucks when it's somebody's dog that you know. Oh, somebody banned you, cut up from his channel. I'm sorry that happened. I've been banned from certain channels too. It's not a great feeling. Thank you. I understand. Even if you don't do nothing wrong, some people is their channels. Like people are not gonna like certain people, and that's how life is sometimes. And we have to understand that. That's what I've learned. Like certain people are not gonna like you just for being you. I've got banned because the people think I was a troll, but I'm not. They, but we're here now. If they don't want you there, fuck them. That means they don't want your support. You okay, Alexa? My dog looked at me strange. No, I know where you trying to look and see if I'll give you some food. Nope. You got dog food over there. Took a haircut a couple weeks ago. Look. Go eat your food over there. Go eat. I'm not giving you human food. Lexi, over there. Let's go. Go. Lexi. Yeah. Let's go. Over there. Ooh. Oh, this is Brian Kohlberger. I'm just looking at some stuff. My allergies are terrible. Boss called out. ESPN. They still talking about that shit, the tsunami. Nothing really happened, right? That's crazy. ESP. If you want to watch WWE pay per views, it costs $29.99 a month, or you have to have ESPN. Starting in April of next year. I don't have cable. I don't have ESPN. Because I don't really watch anything there. Mm. Mm. Cable's expensive. Yo, Mo. Shoot. Over there. Go eat. Hmm. No, over there. Go eat your own food. Hmm. Hmm. Oh, my allergies are terrible. Let's see what this bitch did.
A disturbing case out of Florida is making headlines as a mother faces serious charges. Authorities allege she left her minor child home alone with 7 starving dogs while she took off on a 2-week trip to Las Vegas. What deputies found when they checked on the home was nothing short of horrifying. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber.
Listen to this story, guys.
County, Florida. It is there that a mother, 37-year-old Jessica Copeland, is facing child neglect and animal cruelty charges. You see, authorities allege that she left her child home with 7 dogs while she was out in Vegas for 2 weeks. Those are the allegations. Now, yes, they're allegations. She's innocent until proven guilty. But my gosh, according to reporting, thank goodness for family. Apparently a family member called in a welfare check at the house to see what was going on. Oh, and by the way, this gets weird too, because Putnam County officials told News4 Jax that they encountered an adult at the home who allegedly said, quote, oh yeah, I'm cleaning up. I can grab the teenager so you can see he's being taken care of. The child came outside, talked to deputies, told them everything was fine, there were no issues. By the way, don't know a lot more information about this child, including the age. All we know really is that this is a boy who's a minor, a teenager. That information, the other information...
Do you hear it?
Now, but then, according to people, a different family member reportedly called police to give them some sort of video proof of emaciated dogs being abused inside that home. So police, they come back. They apparently speak to the boy, referred to as AR, who they say was, quote, in control of the residence. Here's what a Putnam County Sheriff's deputy wrote in a report. I requested to see the conditions of the animals and their living conditions. AR stated the house was in poor condition and there was poop everywhere.
Ew.
Entering the front door of the residence, I was met by multiple dogs in various poor conditions, as well as the smell of feces and urine. In the living room, I observed all walking areas to the other bedroom encased in a thick layer of brown-white matter identified as animal feces. On the floor, I observed multiple crock-pot bowls filled with water with unknown insects floating and flying around the surface. I asked AR how long has the house been in this condition, and he stated it's been that way for years. AR stated this is the way Jessica keeps the house and refuses to clean. Now, according to the police report, at least 2 dogs named Onyx and Chase were locked in a bedroom with no food or water, and the floor was filled with feces approximately 4 inches deep.
That's disgusting.
A pit bull mix named Hera was discovered in a cage behind the couch, which was covered with a blanket, also had no access to food or water. And 4 other dogs, Big Boy, Faye, Bella, Kitty, appear to have stayed in the living room of the home. So the Putnam County Sheriff's Office, they released a short clip of body cam footage that actually shows Jessica Copeland returning from her trip, finding deputies on her property.
Hey, are you Jesse?
Yes, I am.
Hey, Jesse, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm all right. Probably, just be 100% honest with you right off the bat, okay? The house is deplorable. Living conditions.
I just got home from vacation.
I understand, but this isn't just from 2 weeks worth of vacation.
Okay.
The dogs are completely emaciated and at the point that they're being starved to death. So, if you do me a favor, just turn around and put your hands behind the back. Put your hands together like pray.
What?
Put your hands together like pray. So right now, man, you're being placed under arrest for animal cruelty as well as child neglect.
Oh, and Action News Jack's reporting this was all on her birthday. Yeah. So according to the sheriff's office, she is now facing felony child neglect and both felony and misdemeanor animal cruelty charges. And at last check, she's locked up on a $36,000 bond at the Putnam County Jail. If the allegations are true, I guess she just, didn't hit it big in Vegas to make bail, right?
Yeah.
Now, reportedly, the child is doing okay, is now with family members. These malnourished dogs were taken to animal control. But again, my gosh, if these allegations are true, what are we talking about here? How could someone do this?
Yep.
Now, I will say this. If anybody out there is interested in adopting these dogs, giving them a new life, you're asked to contact Julianne Young at julianne.young@putnam-fl.gov. Sheriff H.D. Gator Deloach said in a statement, the depravity of this situation is both heartbreaking and infuriating. A mother made the conscious choice to abandon her own child in a filth-ridden home, surrounded by the stench of animal feces and suffering of neglected
That's disgusting.
animals, while she indulged on a 2-week birthday trip to Las Vegas. This wasn't neglect. This was deliberate cruelty, both to her child and to the animals she left behind. Let me be clear. Our community will not tolerate this level of selfish disregard for human and animal life. She now has time for reflection. Well, this is just a horrible, horrible story, to say the least. Unfortunately, we have seen alleged abuse cases like this before, and we want to bring them to you. We want to shed a light on what is going on or allegedly going on. And one of the reasons that we can do that is because we get incredible support from our sponsors like Upside. And if you don't know what it is, Upside is great. It is a free app that gets you cash back when you buy daily essentials. So I pump my gas, I can use Upside. I go out to lunch, I can use Upside. I go to a convenience store, I can use Upside. Now, why not get cash back when I do all these things, right? This is actual real cash back. It's money that appears in your Upside app that you transfer right into your bank account. So once you have the free Upside app, you claim an offer for whatever you're buying on Upside. You pay as usual using a debit or credit card. You follow the steps on the app, you get paid. So to find out how much you could earn, click the link in the description to download Upside or scan the QR code on screen. But make sure to use our promo code SIDEBAR because you'll get an extra 25 cents back on every gallon on your first tank of gas. I want to bring in Sherry Botwin, licensed clinical social worker and trauma expert, to help try to break down and understand what this is, because I can't think of somebody who might be better to understand what's happening here.
I don't understand
this
it.
is pretty disgusting and horrific. Have you ever seen anything like this before?
Unfortunately,
Yes.
I have worked with clients who are adults now, who in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s are still struggling with the fallout and impact of coming from a home like this.
How does it slip through the cracks? If this is true, this house is kept in this condition for such a long period of time, why are we only discovering this now?
I mean, I'm thinking about the teenager that was left in the home. I don't know anything about him, but I can sense that while he may feel abandoned and neglected, he's probably also very protective of his mom. And you know, it's that saying, what happens behind closed doors. People don't necessarily have access to finding out what's going on behind the closed doors. And it sounds like from what I'm reading, this young boy was used to living in these conditions. So for him to go and tell somebody, and then
That's
there's
disgusting.
other adults, it sounds like, who have come in the home, But like the one woman is saying, we're cleaning up the house, there's nothing to worry about. People who are in relationships with the person who's allegedly the abuser or the neglectful parent, they tend to want to protect them, even in the worst case situations.
Wow.
What about CPS? What about Child Protective Services? Is it a misunderstanding of what their oversight role is, when they're called out, what their job is supposed to be?
Mm-hmm. The problem is have they been called out in this case?
Probably.
Did anybody ever call them and say you need to go to this home because there's a big problem? That piece of the story I don't know about, but I know that there are times even in these agencies that things get missed, and sometimes the secrets and the way that families and children and families can tend to hide and cover up such atrocities. I hate to say it, but this is something that happens all the time.
Again,
It
assuming
does.
these allegations are true, and look, she's innocent until proven guilty, she'll have an opportunity to fight them. What are the defenses to this? If you take it as true, she goes to Vegas. She seemingly admitted that she went to Vegas, left her son, these dogs in this state. Now, they made it clear that this wasn't just these dogs weren't just left in these conditions for 2 weeks, that they were healthy dogs and then deteriorated, that this was happening for a while. But what defenses do you see from parents or guardians? Maybe, I don't even know if it's a legal defense or a moral defense, why they would think something like this is okay,
It's
or
not.
maybe they don't care, or maybe there's another reason. Again, let me emphasize this one more time. She's innocent until proven guilty, but I'm trying to understand what is a justification you have seen from parents or guardians who do similar conduct.
The thing is, you're trying to come up with a defense, a justification, and what is such a head spinner and something that I still don't understand, even after doing this work for so long, is there are parents out here in the world that will justify
Anything.
actions and behaviors that most of us would say, what in the world were you thinking? How could you possibly do that? And
Nope.
the thing that we have to remember is when somebody becomes a parent, they're not given a license, they're not certified. Anybody can become a parent. And sadly, there are people in this world who become parents and then they don't want to parent. So I'm imagining for someone like this woman, if these allegations are true, I'm thinking she might have said something like, well, he was a teenager, he could stay home alone, and he said he was going to take care of the dogs. Like, parents will come up with all kinds of ideas and reasons why what they have done somehow is okay, even when it's so not okay.
Yep.
It's like, you see this selfish aspect of it, right? I mean, going to Vegas, that level of escape, going to party. There's other parents who have they go on dates or they do whatever they want to do to, benefit themselves at the expense of the children. There is an aspect to that, right? It's like an escape from their day-to-day. It's an escape from their responsibilities. I'm not justifying it, but I'm trying to understand what the rationale could be here. And
There's no rationale.
I'm struggling to find it, because if you have love for your child and for your animals, how can you go out to, again, assuming these allegations are true, how can you go out to Vegas and seemingly party for your birthday while you know what's at home?
Here's the thing, what you're describing, it's so much more than being selfish. It's the pathology of the parent in that situation. And, again, we assume that when someone becomes a parent, they love their child. I know I've worked with clients who've come from families where they genuinely were not loved by their own parents.
Wow.
There are people in this world who, they're not just selfish, they don't have the ability to actually love and protect a child.
Yep.
Even when it's their own, and that could be because of things that happened in their past.
That sucks.
She could have mental health issues. There's so many things that we don't know about the mom, but the thing that we have to understand in the world that we live in is there are children living in families right now where their parents are literally incapable
To love.
or too unwell. And I don't just mean they have depression or they're selfish or they're struggling with mental health issues. There are people in this world who are very narcissistic. And when you're talking about that type of pathology, a narcissist
only cares about himself or herself. They don't have the ability to think, what in the world am I doing by leaving my child? They don't have the ability to actually love and protect a child the way a child needs to be protected and loved.
Yeah, and you know, in terms of some sort of defense, like even a mental health defense, I think would be limited considering there seems to be a level of consciousness for what she did here. So I think that's going to be limited. In terms of if you had the opportunity to speak to this child, what are the questions that you'd want to ask? Because you think about what does this do to a child for the remainder of their life, assuming these allegations are true.
I think the first question I would ask him is, what does it feel like to be left alone in this type of environment? What does that make you think about yourself and the people around you? I would want to know things like, so when your mom left, did you feel like it was your responsibility then to become sort of like the parent? You're now in charge of these dogs. I would want to know, did your mom leave you any instructions or tell you how to contact her? I think the question that keeps coming in my mind when I think about this case, if I were sitting down with him, is I'd want to ask him, what's it like to have a mom who leaves you for 2 weeks in such deplorable conditions?
Wow.
How does that leave you feeling? You know, what I'm imagining, Jesse, is that this is a kid who's feeling like it's his responsibility to take over when his mom leaves. And I'm sure there's a part of him that thinks, well, I have a mom, but does she actually really love me? And I don't think he would ever say that to anybody else, because at the end of the
That's
day,
deep.
he's going to want to do what he can to protect her because he doesn't want to get her in trouble.
Now, to be clear, I know you haven't had, you know, an opportunity to meet this person, to interview this person, but the journey that a child goes on after being in these kinds of conditions, what can that manifest into later on in life? I mean, these are really, really disgusting conditions. We don't know the full context of the relationship or the life that he was living with her or leading with her, but what is this? We talk about trauma, that environment. What does that do to somebody?
It's a head spinner. I mean, one of the things I think about is it's not any different than the people that I work with who've been physically abused, sexually abused by parents. It leaves people feeling so insecure and so uncared about. And how am I going to ever be able to trust others? And how can I trust myself? And how do I feel some sense of control after living in an environment at ages when I needed somebody to protect and care about me? I'm working with somebody now in her 40s who grew up in a very similar home, and she still struggles with feeling secure, with trusting herself, trusting her partner. She's so insecure about, of course, her home environment and what it looks like. It's one of those things where I think this young boy, he's probably going to be in therapy in some capacity. I don't want to say for the rest of his life, but he's going to need a lot of help, and it's probably going to need to happen for over the course of 10 to 20 years.
By the way, family members here. So thank goodness for them for calling. But you also wonder if the reporting's true about this adult who is there and, you know, didn't raise the red flags for law enforcement about what was going on. What do you see as the role of people who, because it's a difficult journey, right? It's a difficult kind of balancing test. How much do you get involved in others' parenting, others' people's lives? But, I mean, thank goodness for them, because it seems like he needed the help of others to actually bring supplies and food over. It's such a weird kind of case. What is the role of family in these kinds of cases?
The word I think of is enabler. It's very sad, but if you're a family member and you're bringing food to a young boy who's home with all those dogs, instead of saying to the mom, what are you doing? Maybe, you know, like making sure that the kid can have arrangements to be living somewhere else for those 2 weeks.
And to be clear, by the way, I don't know if they tried to contact the mother or anything like that, but yeah.
Yeah, but what I see in a lot of these cases, whether they tried to contact the mom or they didn't say anything or they did say something, family members feel an allegiance to family. And even when they see that someone in their family may be making very poor choices, a lot of times what happens is they would rather kind of do what they can to fix the situation or keep it under wraps than to actually call for help, because calling for help in a situation like this could mean again that the mom, if these allegations are true, she could get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
So when I heard that there were family members going in, and I heard about the one adult who was there saying it's fine, we're cleaning up the mess, the first thing I thought of was, I think that this person may be enabling. It just perpetuates it to continue, and it's a cycle that can go on for a very long time.
No, it's a good point. It's a good point. And if you had the opportunity to interview Miss Copeland, okay, assuming these allegations are true, what would you want to find out from her? And by the way, however this moves forward through the legal process, whether, it goes to trial, whether the charges stick, whether she's convicted, whether she pleads guilty, not really sure where the charges are going to end up or stick, but what would you want to know from her? What would you want to ask about her, or what would you want to ask her? And could you see someone being rehabilitated and saying, you know what, I realized this was terrible what I did, but I can move on, be a safe and productive member of society? So I guess, again, the question is, what would you want to ask her? What would you want to know? And do you think even somebody who's accused of really, really disturbing crimes, is there a chance in the future that she could take care of her child again and she could be a productive member of society?
That's a question I feel like could take an hour to answer. I think that the first thing I would want to find out is what's your backstory? What kind of home did you grow up in? What were your parents like? I would want to ask her, what were you thinking when you left to go celebrate your birthday? What were you thinking? Did you forget that you have this child and all these dogs that you need to take care of? Were you looking for an escape? Were you that unhappy and overwhelmed in your life that you felt like the only option was to remove yourself and leave for those 2 weeks? There's so many questions that I have. And in terms of the idea of rehabilitation, I'm a true believer that people can change who they are. People can
You been a
be
killer?
better. But is that something that happens overnight?
Nope.
It can take decades. And the thing in this story is we're talking about a teenager. So even if she were able to find a sort of like a reason or explanation for her choices, the destruction between the relationship between her and her son, the distrust, that in and of itself would require, I would think, a lot of therapy, a lot of conversations in a safe, contained environment where the child and the mom can sit down and really explore what happened and the fallout, and how do you pick up the pieces after that? How do you then say, well, I think that I'm doing better now, and I think now I can take care of my son. This is such a sensitive, fragile type of situation that by the time that were to happen, if that happened in this case, the child would probably already be well past 18 years old, because that's how long it can take to repair these types of situations. This is an act of abuse and neglect. Children need to know that they're loved and they need to feel protected. And when parents don't meet their basic needs and they up and leave, the emotional impact and the fallout from that, it's so many layers. Literally, I could sit here for an hour and talk to you just about that one question.
Sherry Botwin, these are not easy questions. They are probably not easy answers to hear, but we'll keep a careful eye on this because it is shocking. And we're hoping that this child is going to be okay, that the dogs will be okay. We mentioned before how if anybody's interested, they can adopt them, where to go. But Sherry Botwin, thank you so much for taking the time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. I'll speak to you next time.
I'll be back, guys, in a few. Thank you.